Now it's time for Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf, the #1 relationship advice radio show in the U.S.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask Dr. Love. It's my pleasure to be with you again this week. I'm so excited to bring you my show today with my dear guest, Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes. And we're going to be talking about parts of yourself that you've allowed to die while you're still living. And Temple always says the secret of life is not whether you live or die, but whether you allow yourself to be fully alive while you're living. And we're going to talk about how tragedy and challenges are meant to make you more, not less alive. Let me just tell you a quick bit about my guest, Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes. She's a rebel, she's a renegade, and she's been resurrected 1,000 times already in this one lifetime. She suffered a lot of abuse in childhood, combined with the pressure of having to deny her sexual identity, and that caused her to begin drinking at age 13. She spent her life driving herself deeper and deeper into numbness, dying a little each day. And eventually, Temple forged a new life from her ashes of the day-to-day death, a life that embraced bringing others to the realization of being worthy and loved and in opening their hearts. Temple's a catalyst for turning lingering sorrows into brighter tomorrows and restoring all parts of yourself. Having joined the ministry in 1981, Temple has been the spiritual leader at Unity Campus in St. Pete, Florida, and a key member of the Leadership Council of the Association of Global New Thought. And her book, When Did You Die?, is anchored in her work to fast forward people to the impassioned and energized living they so richly want and deserve. In addition to When Did You Die?, she also authored How to Speak Unity and The Right to Be. Temple is a sought-after motivational speaker traveling the United States and abroad for a variety of clients, including Procter & Gamble, Washington Mutual, State Farm Insurance, and Compaq. As part of her commitment to service, she's also spent 3 years in the United States Army Reserves. She's the founder of Life Rights, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the right of all to live the life of their intention in freedom and peace, and the SOF Project, a nonprofit organization that rescues and rehabilitates dogs and cats globally. For more information, you can find her at templehays.com. So Temple, welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
Oh, it's so beautiful to see my wonderful, amazing, not only my friend and colleague, but a real difference maker. You know, that's
honey,
who you are. And it's just a privilege to be here.
You are lovely. So, I was reading your bios and everything, and I thought, my goodness, I think it's just inspiring to hear your life story and how you lived a daily walking death, or if you're feeling free to share it, and how you transformed into, wow, I'm living a living death, and all the work that you've developed as a result.
Absolutely. And I think that that's one of the greatest things. And that's part of the amazing work that you do, is that we are here. We evolved at a time that we're here to show people it's not really what we've been taught. Alvin Toffler says that the issue in the 21st century isn't about, people that don't know how to read and write. It's people that don't know how to unlearn, relearn, and then new learn in a different way. And we're so duped in our society that, tragedy wears you out. You start telling everybody you're old by the time you're 40, and, and you have to, listen to this, 24-hour news and let breaking news break you. And then, if there's anything left, you're medicated so you don't have to feel it. And the story goes on and on and on. And then you live in this model of, I'm supposed to retire, so I'm just, that's it, it's over. And it's the opposite, really, because what I have learned, and this is what I want your audience to understand, you go through things, your soul goes through experiences to draw out more of you, to bring in the dynamic person that you are, so that you can be a difference maker, not only to yourself, but everybody around you. And I had to figure that out because I didn't want to be here. It took me 48 hours to be born. So it's like, I don't know if I want to go in this incarnation at all. And so I was. And I wasn't born into, a family that they sent me to the mystery school. And they said, you're an indigo. Let's get you to the mystery school. They're going, who are you?
And you were born in the South,
in the South of religiosity, and there's only one way, and that's the Baptist way. And even if you converse about anything else, you're destined to hell. And so I knew that I talked to God when I was 5 in nature, because nature is God and God is nature. And I knew intuitively, though I didn't know that word at 5, that I was fine. I was getting these messages from God, and then I'd go inside the house and they would go, who are you? Oh, you're embarrassing to me. Oh my gosh. And because I just had my own mind, I would read scripture and I would quote it in a different way, etc. Well, then when my father discovered me and a 17-year-old girl in the bedroom, kissing and everything, that was a big deal. I was 13 and a half. Well, that image showed him that, whoa, where's my daughter going? My grandmother, who adored me, I was her favorite, named after her husband, John Temple. And they gathered together and went, oh, Temple, we're so sorry. We're not going to see you in heaven. I'm 13 and a half. I don't even have my permit to drive a car. And I'm already being destined and challenged to say, you're going to hell. So because I had these externals, the culture, the Baptist, every direction is like, you are not okay, get away from us. And Jamie, it was hard. It was tough. I'm not going to kid you, because people looked at me different. They didn't go, oh, there's Temple, the life of the party. They went, she's here. She's here. And so that was hard as a teenager. So I'm not blaming, but I certainly, because I was abandoned and rejected, I did that to myself. So alcohol
and also you suffered abuse, because you said that you watched your dog and your cat be murdered by your parent.
Absolutely. Yep. And they didn't think a thing about it. Oh, just throw him on the truck. That was just a dog. That was just a cat, that kind of thing. It was just, and there's still, sadly, unbelievable, places across our cultures that still feel the same way. So it was just a real, like, in the early stages of my life, it was just very, very difficult. And yet I had to learn again how to shift it around the other way. So I am now a spokesperson for the voiceless, for the animals, for life rights, for sexuality related issues or whatever, because that's what we do. And that's what you've done. You took the sacred story that, quite frankly, you are so fortunate. And I know you at a deeper level and with your book, and many a person, unlike what you have done, would climb in a closet, say, I've only had one love in my life. I'll never love again. I'm doomed. Let me just medicate. I don't want to feel. Let me drink until I die. And that would be it. But no, you didn't. You took your sacred story, which is what creates us. Our pain is our creation story. Our sacred story is that we are here to be different, right? Our creation story is the things that we attract define and shape us if we let them. And you did. And so as I say to you often, any person that comes to me that's had tragic loss, I say, read the book, Love Never Dies. I don't have to coach. I don't have to try to come up with words, because 90% of us don't know what to say. We usually say something that's embarrassing, like, well, I'm sorry your dog died, but at least you have another one. I'm like, I know I didn't hear you say that. But to people, I just say, read Love Never Dies. Or if it's someone I know well, I'll say, is this still your address? I'm going to send you this book. Aww. So you are a living example of that, my friend. And your story, it changes people every day all over the world, because what you did took a lot of courage to step up and say, my husband physically isn't here, but almost. And he shows up in my life all the time. And that's the part of it that is, is so powerful. But my thing is, yes, about dying and reincarnation and, we don't really die, but it's the energy has been, don't die while you're living. Living people never die. That's for sure. I'm one of them.
It's so amazing because I think that the pain we all suffered as kids, nobody is exempt.
Right.
You're so alone in your pain. And if only we had a way of running group therapy for every single kid who's suffering and thinking, I'm the only one feeling this pain. And if you could connect energetically through virtual groups and discover every single person feels alone and every single person feels like he or she is suffering the pain that you're feeling, and you are not alone in this pain. And I am not alone in saying I'm bummed out that we have to take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf here. Are you feeling stressed out or suffering panic attacks, aches and pains or stiff muscles, low energy, angry outbursts or disturbed sleep? Or are you worried or depressed or feeling hopeless, like the world is coming to an end? Or you're not eating right or exercising or falling into self-damaging or addictive behaviors like binging on junk food, TV, or the internet? Or abusing drugs or alcohol, figuring what's the point? Or maybe work is getting on your last nerve, or your relationships are falling apart. If you said yes to any of my questions, you are likely suffering what I call the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome triggered by the coronavirus pandemic. Don't despair. My energetic system upgrade is your rescue remedy for the panic epidemic that is plaguing our world. The energetic system upgrade has already changed the lives of some of today's top leaders. Now you can experience your own energetic system upgrade healing transformation. I'm offering a limited number of discounted sessions for my radio listeners. Visit AskDrLove.com/energetic system upgrade.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-398-9845. 800-398-9845. 800-398-9845. That's 800-398-9845.
I think I'm supposed to come back. See, the reason I said I think is because we just added some new commercials to my show. And my former commercials had music, and then it would say, and now back to Ask Dr. Love. But this new commercial just stopped, and then there was silence. So I figure I had to come back. So here we are talking with Temple Hayes, the lovely Temple Hayes, about how you can live while you're still living. And so,
you know what's so funny is because we were talking about dying and people that are on the other dimension that still communicate with us. When you said, I think I'm supposed to come back, I thought for a minute you were thinking that, did you just ascend?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm supposed to come back. I went, I'm happy.
Right. It was sort of like the sound died and then
Right.
hello. So,
Right.
It's so funny. So we were saying before the break that the pain that we suffer in childhood, the pain, I think it's much easier to bear anything when we know we're not alone, right? That we have someone else, a group, a therapist, a minister, a reverend, somebody to talk to who says, I know how you feel. I understand. I remember when I was training Temple, it's not about fixing. It's about just understand the person, understand what that person is going through. And that is so healing. And if you feel that you're not alone and you feel you're understood, you don't need to do the numbing things with the drugs and the alcohol to somehow die a slow death. because you can't take your pain.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I would say for me and my experience and with those that I've encountered, the number one great healer is validation. Is validation. Is someone that goes, I get it. I may not have been, I haven't been gone through what you've gone through, but what I know is I know that it's real to you, and I'm just going to hold the space for you, and that you'll be healed. And often on radio shows and things like that, when I share certain parts of my story and they go, oh, you're still talking about your childhood. Yes, because the number one cause of suicide in kids, it's suicide. And I don't blame my parents. I'm one of those now that say after 30, get a life. Stop blaming anybody. When you don't claim where you are in your life, you may not have had a choice about what happened to you then, whatever that is, but you have a choice now. And 35 years this September, I'm sober, and I love it. On the rare times that I may go to a doctor, maybe once every 10 years, and they go, you don't take anything? And I go, no, this is just, this is all just real. This is life. This is the infinity of spirit. And they're just so shocked by that, because that's not the norm. We are programmed from early on. If you're not getting the thrill, take a pill.
I love that
medicate,
acronym.
right?
If you're not getting a thrill, take a pill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, the older you get, the more work you have to do. It's not about blaming. It's about, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you haven't gotten in touch with how you feel about what happened to you during your deformative years, that is not a joke. Those are your deformative years. If you haven't gotten in touch with it and worked through the feelings, you could be 80 and you might as well still be 2 years old. It's unhealed. So it's not something that we grow out of, and we bury these problems, these traumas, the feelings, we bury it alive. It doesn't go away.
That's right. You're
It doesn't
so
go
right.
away.
That's right. And if you don't feel valid, you become invalid. You invalidate yourself.
Yes.
You invalidate, who you are as a human being. And, I love the work that you do, because you're telling, well, you do a lot as in your professional work, but with your book itself, and you're teaching people, there's a different way of seeing this. If you'll open, if you'll grieve, if you'll get on the other side of loss, the people that you love, they'll communicate with you. The animals that you've lost will show up like a butterfly or a penny, or it doesn't have to end, because love never dies. And my work is about what I discovered that is on the subconscious in shamanism and being an energy healer, is a lot of things are driving us that we literally, if we could bring them up and heal them, we would. We're intelligent people in our nature. But it really helps sometimes to have people point out, like the whole planet right now could just use a really good soul retrieval because we're still in shock from the pandemic. We're in shock. And so, as you've noticed, some people are still like in COVID toast. They're kind of participating in life, but they're not. They're kind of like waiting and seeing and kind of numb. And these kind of shows help support people to wake up.
Right. And as you know, I think I mentioned to you over the phone when we were getting ready for this show that when you have an accident, an illness, or a single trauma, you lose all your magnesium, which triggers instant PTSD, and magnesium supplementation reverses PTSD. So a lot of people are suffering what I coined it, the global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome. And it doesn't go away just because the pandemic is over, because the deficiency that resulted from the stress doesn't reverse itself. And that's why we need the supplementation. And, people can't believe that I recommend electromagnesium. How can that be? You don't make any money from it. You're not a distributor. Who would do that? But you know how it is when, you're doing things because it's best for people. It's not about the making of the money. It's just the right thing to do. So, yeah. I'm in the backyard now, and all the orange jasmine is in bloom. And
Yes.
the entire atmosphere is perfumed with this fragrance. And you were saying a few moments ago about how the divine is in nature, and just being present to that scent, just being in the now is such a reminder. Something as simple as try to be aware of what you're smelling, even if it smells stinky, right? Just be in the now. And that's the opposite of sort of walking like a corpse and being dead before you're out of your body. Yeah.
It's so true. Isn't that what they say? Like, even if you complain that something smells bad, give thanks that you can smell, because a lot of people can't. Or if you find the noise really annoying, give thanks that you have that,
that you can hear, right?
That you can hear. Yeah. And, in our society, people, they don't like to talk about dying. And everybody pretends like it's not going to happen. That was one of the things that fascinated me when COVID started. People going, this stuff can kill you. It's like, are you just getting that we're going to die? But it really is a journey of how do we live and how do we stay alive, and what is causing us to die every day. And like you're talking about with magnesium, that's something that is an easy tool that you can go and do. You don't have to medicate, and you can be awake. And maybe sometime we'll start a call-in Zoom for the needs you were talking about, and for kids to have a safe place.
That would be so fantastic. So fantastic. I wrote a lot of poems when Jean left his body because, obviously I got a lot of downloads about the purpose of living. And one of them was live your life now and enjoy your journey. Do this before your final ride on a gurney. We got to take a break. But I'll be back in a moment.
Recover Now is a national campaign aimed at the education and awareness of the devastating effects of opioid and heroin abuse and curbing drug and alcohol addiction in the United States. Recover Now is sponsored by treatment facilities nationwide. Many of them have been where you are, and they want to help by spreading a message of hope and recovery. They're working hand in hand with major insurance companies nationwide that can help you or a loved one get clean in 7 to 30 days. Recover Now is embarking on a national outreach campaign on TV and radio to promote anti-addiction messages. So if you, a loved one, or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, do not wait. A new life for you could be 30 days away. Call us right now. I promise this call can change your life. Sponsored by the Detox and Treatment Helpline.
800-934-6091. 800-934-6091. That's 800-934-6091.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you yearn to get along better with your life partner or spouse, friends, family members, and even co-workers, Dr. Turndorf's best-selling Hay House book, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, Dr. Love's 10 simple steps to cooling conflict and rekindling your relationship, shows you how to turn conflict into connection for a lifetime of lasting love. To find out more, visit AskDrLove.com. Once again, here's Dr. Turndorf.
Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf talking with the Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes. We're having such a great time. Temple, I just always love having you on the show. One of the things you said you wanted to talk about was how we're programmed with the wrong information about beauty and aging.
Absolutely. And just by the way, my 6th grade teacher told my parents I was never going to amount to anything because I talk too much.
Yeah, right.
So just remember, all of you, make a love note that what you've been criticized often is your greatest gifts. And so
isn't that the truth?
Just keep that and hold that in your heart. Yes, to me, in my humble opinion, where we really went off track as a spiritual connected universe and beingness is that when we started being bombarded with 24-hour breaking news with imagery over and over repeating itself, as well as when we could advertise pharmaceutical products online and on billboards. And we started buying into this system that we're told that we are going to get old. And if you want to look this way, according to this magazine cover, and you want to be this, then you got to take this stuff. And one of the things that people often say, I know you've said it too, if you don't understand something, there's usually a money trail in there somewhere.
Yeah,
And if you believe,
it's so unbelievable, Temple, what you're saying, because when you look at the drug commercials, like I saw one for allergies, and it listed side effects include itchy, watery nose and runny eyes. And I'm thinking the side effects are the drug, or what the drug is trying to treat, or they're causing worse conditions. It's horrifying. And then these youth promoting surgeries, the labioplasties. So women will get their labia made smaller to look like pre-adolescent girls, and it's to look younger. It's tragic.
My wife and I call them pantyhose faces. We live in Santa Barbara, so we have a lot of pantyhose faces. The over fixing your face so you won't, and it. Whatever, we all have choices, and I don't need to make people wrong. I'm simply saying, I'm talking a fundamental belief that the longer you live, the more youthful you can become, because you have less things to think about. You learn boundaries. You don't spend your energy on things that don't warrant your power or your essence. And we're not here really to ever get old. Old is a choice. Aging is inevitable. I mean, you can make your face pretty, but you still got to do the spots on your hands, and you got to do everything else, But aging is something that you can have this opinion of being younger than anybody and it really works. Many years ago, I went, okay, yeah, it looks like I probably physically will die. No one's come up with a pill yet that's going to keep us from really physically dying. But I want to be the kind of person that when I'm in my 60s, that people will say, how do you have so much energy?
Right.
People ask me that all the time. How do you have so much energy? And I said, well, because I don't believe it comes from me. Because I don't take pills. It fascinates me, Jamie. It makes me cry, Dr. Turndorf, that, people are, like you're saying, taking all these pills. And what do they start having? Panic attacks and anxiety. And then they have to take pills for that. Why? In many cases, because the body can't absorb all this stuff.
And also in my latest book, If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, I cite the research that the drugs cause magnesium wasting. So you develop anxiety and panic, which is a symptom of low magnesium. Believe it or not.
And you're so right on. And you made a profound statement. You will go to a car mechanic or a computer store and ask them 25 questions. What if? And how come? And show me. But yet you'll take your body somewhere and never ask the question. Oh, they said, and I'm supposed to take, and I'm supposed to do it, and never look at the side effects. If you are out there right now having any kind of symptoms and you're on medication, stop what you're doing right now and read the side effects. And I bet you in many cases, you're going to see that's that. I was talking to a guy, he came to our home and he was 80, headed to 90 and real young. And he's like, and Dr. Jamie, they were going to do surgery on him. Okay. Why? Well, because I have a runny nose. And I said, entertain me. Let's just go on the computer. How many pills do you take? I take 4. 3 of the 4 side effect, runny nose. And I said, and the doctor didn't tell you that? No, they never asked. They just want to do surgery.
No, and also when you pile up the drugs, when you're older, your detox pathways are more compromised.
Yes.
So you're going to have more side effects, perhaps even than a younger person. And they work synergistically in a negative way to give you more side effects.
Right.
You know, my uncle is struggling with some kind of sinus congestion and allergies. And in Chinese medicine, they call it nose duties, as you change the filters in your car, right? But people don't think about cleaning out the filters of their kidneys and their liver. And as we age, we accumulate a lot of crap in our organs, and a lot of diseases come from the storage of crap. So, I am fasting now. You and I, we do a lot of cleanses. I do massive fasting and cleansing. I don't take drugs either. When something goes wrong, I go to cleanses, so I was telling my uncle, you really, really need to do a cleanse now to get the crap out of you so it stops coming out your nose, which is an alternate detox pathway because it's not coming out adequately through your liver and your kidneys. So he says, well, I poop every day. Well, you can poop and still have clogged, organs, and I'd rather be dead. Well, that's not thinking in a young way. So am I having fun when I'm on a fast? Not necessarily, but I'm, saying I would rather be present to this experience and live fully in the reality that as I get older, I have to be more careful about cleansing even than when I was younger. That's part of choosing to be younger and present in my body and, honoring this vessel so that I can be here,
Right. So you can be totally present. Absolutely. And like anything, everything requires effort. Being on pharmaceuticals and not ever looking at, is there something I can do? That takes effort. Everything takes effort. So, it's just making choices that create a more youthful life and not spending our energy that way.
And the way you think. Like you said before, if you think I'm old, the body, the unconscious listens to what you say and starts producing chemical changes in the body that actually start cell death and aging. And if you think I'm young and I'm present and I'm vital, your body listens to that as well.
And you want to hang out with people like me and Dr. Jamie who believe in these things. I mean, that's the whole thing. You want to have people in your boat that believe like you, because it is challenging when you're just surrounded with people that are negative, or, wake up in the morning and turn on the TV vision of, the same imagery that you've already heard, 10 times. We don't need to be aloof. I am aware of what's going on, but I kind of scan with an overview. But when you're bombarded with that,
well, there's another point, right?
Literally.
Because they say that our own systems were not prepared to handle bad news from all over the world. We began in small tribes, so we only heard the bad news of our tribe or maybe the neighboring tribes. Now we're hearing information from the global tribes. It's more than our adrenals and our nervous systems can handle, and that triggers PTSD and more, chemical imbalance. So
and social media does that too. If you
I know it's the same deal.
To social media, and you have a lot of friends, which aren't really friends usually, but they're, that's the word.
And they're horrible stories.
And
that's not the same as connecting. I got to disconnect for 1 sec for a break, but we'll be back.
All right.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-762-6158. 800-762-6158. 800-762-6158. That's 800-762-6158.
Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. That's 800-918-1376.
Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf. Did you know only one stress, one accident, or one illness can trigger PTSD? And did you know that all the stress associated with the pandemic has created what I call the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome? And don't be so quick to say, I don't have PTSD, because many conditions like depression, anxiety, pain syndrome, sleep disorders, and sexual dysfunctions are PTSD in disguise. And don't be fooled. Even after the pandemic is behind us, your PTSD will not go away by itself. Hope is in sight. In my latest book, If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again, I share a simple, research-backed, drug-free program for reversing the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome, a solution your doctor doesn't likely know about. Read If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again today, and be on the road to recovery right away.
If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again became a #1 international bestseller within 24 hours of its publication. Grab your copy on Amazon and find out why.
Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, talking with Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes. You know, I noticed, Temple, today is the first day that all these spots are running for addictions and addiction centers.
I love it.
How fitting that this is what you were talking about, because people resort to drugs and alcohol when the pain is unbearable, right? And it's hard to be living fully and present. You know, when Jean left his body, the pain was so bad at first that I remember weeping in my professional group and saying, it'd be better for me to be dead. You know, I can't stand having these feelings. And everybody said to me, but Jamie, the alternative to not having these feelings is to just be numb to everything. And of course, they reminded me of that truth. You know, you can't have the sun without the night. You know, if you want to be alive to the joy, you have to also be alive to the pain.
Totally. And I think the other thing that I've discovered for myself and others is that, you know, when you pursue being connected and spiritual and you're awake and you're not medicated and those kind of things, we often think we're going to reach like a nirvana. Like, oh, you know, I'm doing all this. I took the workshops. I worked on my emotional DNA. I worked with my shaman. I healed my energy. Oh my goodness. I'm going to just be in joy all the time. You actually are more sensitive. You actually hear things at a deeper level. You actually at times weep more about a crisis or children being shot in school, or you intuit when an earthquake is going to happen in Japan. That's happened to me. Those kind of things you feel at a greater capacity, and yet you are present and you can bring to these experiences a greater sense of light or possibility, or, you know, doing the kind of work that you do. But people do confuse that. Oh, I'm, you know, because I'm evolving, then I'll just get to a place that I don't have any problems anymore. No, you feel them. You still have problems because you're a human being. And you feel what everybody else is going through, but in a different way, you know.
Yes,
so.
It's true. And you're certainly more alive to all your feelings. You're more alive to everything. And that has, you know, an upside and a downside, and that is the duality of life, you know.
Absolutely. But your willingness to share out loud, my willingness to share out loud, is part of the agreement on this journey as a soul. You know, we were caught off guard, probably, with some of these things that we had to walk through, but through that push and being born in a new way, we're able to relate, share, you know, offer hope.
You know, I just realized something, how you were not hesitant, you know, and we're 48 hours in labor. I came out 3 months too early.
Oh my gosh. Look at you.
But you see, it's like everything I've done is always like, oh, you're 3 decades too early. Oh, that's funny. 3 months too early, 3 decades too early.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, absolutely. I tease people. I go, yes, my mother was in labor with me so long, and it probably hurt so bad that every time she sees me, even now, she goes,
Ow, you're giving me a
Ow!
cramp.
Oh
You're
my
giving
gosh.
me a cramp.
Yep.
That is so funny. That is
Yeah.
so funny. So I think you told me that part of your living fully now has been to work a little bit less for the first time in your life. You moved to California.
Mm-hmm. I made some vows to myself, and let me just clear that the word retire is not in my vocabulary.
Definitely. I just said work a little less right now, right?
I don't believe in it. I think it's a prophecy that creates an energy for people. If you don't get things done by a certain age, you'll never get them done. And like you said, I think cells die from that kind of reality. Think about how many people you've known as soon as they retired and they traveled twice, then they were dead. You know, so I don't believe in that. But I believe that truly, like, we've done a lot of the work already, and now we're going to benefit from the joy of that. And it's not the number of hours that we spend doing something, but it's the energetic presence of allowing and having a great opportunity to move from Florida all the way across the country to California. There were many agreements that, like, I'm not toting those with me. I'm not packing those in my psychic luggage. I'm going to be free from that, have greater boundaries, and just enjoy more, you know, and experience more and see what comes my way. I think often we're on automatic. You know, we are, what is that saying, that we spend the first part of our life creating habits that affect the second part of our life? You know, I'm going for 200, by the way. I've changed that number. I'm going for 200. As I always say, nobody will talk about you if you don't miss the mark, right?
That is so funny. You know, it's funny because on the day that Jean left his body, he said to me, I feel like I felt in my early 30s.
Wow.
He had eternal youth. The man never aged. He never had anything wrong with him. The bee got him, you know, he definitely lived, you know, like he was eternal, and his body listened, no doubt about it, you know.
But the bee, you know, the shaman, the power totem, the medicine of a bee is fertility and new creation. And look at the work the two of you have done. I mean, literally the hundreds of thousands of lives you've changed through, you know, what happened. And by the way, everyone, I just want to say that, you know, I've heard Dr. Jamie's lectures and how he shows up on computers and stuff like that. I want you to know I'm a recipient of that.
I wanted to, you know what, Temple?
Many a time when I've been on the computer,
found what he sent you.
I'm
going to share it. I'm going to share it when we come back.
Yes.
I'm going to share it because I saved what he sent you. All right. I did. But you know, the crazy thing is, he sent you a lot of things. Like we were talking about how he takes people's computers over. And
he did mine many times through the years. He'd come in on my computer or put an Eiffel Tower there. Remember that? I'm like, what?
I know. During the break, I'm going to look for the video of him taking over your computer. And also I have a photo of him taking over your computer. Let's take a break and I'll do some quick housekeeping and see if I can find it.
Okay. Yeah.
Be back with you in a moment.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If your heart is still hurting over the bodily loss of your loved one, the reason is simple. We're not meant to be separated from those we love, and reconnecting is the only way to end the grief. But reconnecting and staying connected requires guidance. As a gift to her listeners, Dr. Turndorf is offering a limited number of discounted grief relief sessions to help you reestablish your relationship and resolve any unfinished issues. If you're ready to experience the healing and joy of reconnecting, visit AskDrLove.com/grief relief to schedule your session. But don't wait, space is limited. Visit AskDrLove.com/grief relief to find out more.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-668-2493. 800-668-2493. 800-668-2493. That's 800-668-2493.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you can't stop crying over the bodily loss of a loved one, Dr. Turndorf's international #1 bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, shows you how to toss out the tissues and transform your grief into joy using her groundbreaking Dialoguing with the Departed technique that enables you to reconnect and even heal unfinished business with those in spirit. To find out more, visit AskDrLove.com. And now, back to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ask Dr. Love. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf. I'm talking with the lovely Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes. Temple, before we took the break, I said I was going to screen share and show what Jean sent you. Here's the first thing. So for people watching live, you can see, you said to me that Jean said he was going to do something. And the next thing you knew, you looked at your desktop. This is crazy. Do you see it?
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely crazy.
It looks like a bunch of cosmic orbs all over.
He would come in a few times. It was absolutely amazing.
And then here's another thing you sent me, which absolutely was surprising. I thought I opened this. This is a video. Let's see if I can. Did I stop the share? See, this is like pat your head and rub your stomach all at the same time. You know what I mean? So, all right, I'm going to share again. See, I'm sharing my own computer. So I got to make sure I take off what you don't want to see and show what you do want to see. Yeah, here it is.
There we go.
So here it is. Here's the video. Yes, what we're looking at here is just very odd energetic frequencies. You know, the energies of the soul essence of our loved ones in spirit create interruptions in the frequency, you know, so the electromagnetic signals interrupt our technologies, turn lights on and off, make machines work in a funky way. Yeah, he plays with you a lot. Yeah.
And yes, and it would be often, you know, when we were talking about him or something, and then
he does it.
So
very playful.
You know, it really was that way. And people, and they say, let me look for a butterfly, but you know, you expand that consciousness to look for a lot of things. My friend Kim, whose husband died younger, and it was devastating for her. And you know, said to her, you know, you talked to her for a long time and you were the greatest medicine for her life. So she started looking for him, and she got up one morning and said, Jimbo, if Dr. Jamie is really correct and you're really here, I'm still mad at you because I can't find this earring, the one of the set that you gave me, and I want to find it. And she walked out, like outdoors, downstairs, a wall on the cement, and there was her earring right there, you know, and she walked by it every day. So this is the kind of stuff that we settle for so less than who we really are in our divine magnificence. We're in jobs we don't want to be in. We're in relationships that aren't fulfilling. And we just kind of go ho hum, you know, and that's not what we're here for. Pain often comes from the settling and the repeating the patterns rather than expanding and saying, here I am, law, use me. and allow me to step into a greater way. I would like to say that if you are finding yourself right now in a place you don't feel like, you're putting your whole self in, you don't feel like your energy is the level, that's a great start, just to be aware of that. But to do an exercise and write down like the top 15 or 30 things in your life throughout your being born in this time, the things that you go, oh, this happened. Oh, woe is me, this happened. Write them down and then go back and look at them. How did they make you? How did they shape you? How did they create you? And turn that story around, because they're not here to make you grow old. They're here to make you grow out. And
that's wonderful.
Up, right?
That's wonderful. And if you still feel injured as a result of these, significant memories that are traumatizing you, the dialoguing technique that I use in Love Never Dies, many times the people who you have unfinished business with are in spirit, whether they're in spirit or whether not. Begin a dialogue with them and tell them how you feel about what they did or didn't do. And you don't have to forgive them. You can be where you are and let them know you're angry and whatever else you feel, and move through the injury. And what we discover is that if they are in spirit, they really do see how they screwed up with you and they want to help you to heal. They're not going to respond to you the way that they did when you were a kid. They're not going to yell at you or beat you or retaliate. They really want to embrace you and listen and understand, heal these injuries, because it's so many times the injury that becomes your victim story that keeps you stuck. Whereas if you can move through the feelings and out the other side, now you can do what you do, like, oh, they murdered my dog and cat. Well, I'm going to now not be stuck in the I feel horrible. I'm going to save other cats and dogs. I'm going to begin a charity,
Right, exactly.
I love how you're a warrior for transformation, for alchemy, to turn the lemons into lemonade, the lemons of life into lemonade. So in the last couple minutes, we only literally have a minute left. Let everybody know a parting word, and also, again, how to find you and anything else you'd like to promote. I know that's a lot for a minute, but.
Well, templehayes.com, I think, is the easiest thing, or I have a public page on Facebook. I have a new book out called Being a Difference Maker. I had to think about it. It's so new. It's new to me. Being a Difference Maker, and all that's on Amazon. If you just put in my name, Temple Hayes, different books show up. So yes. And love to hear from you. And that's, again, through the website page or through social. But definitely, we love this work. What I love is that the first place I ever took a stand spiritually and did a public statement and started a community is where Dr. Jamie now lives. So there's this interwoven fabric of life.
Isn't that interesting? And, I love the idea. We've never really done anything together. Love the idea of doing something online, a group especially for young kids. The only, thing we have to iron out is how they do it with, if they're with parents who are abusing them, how will the parents give permission and, stuff like that. But we could figure that out. And also I want to
see how we would be guided.
I would love to do
something with you, because you're coming from one angle and I'm coming from the other, and together we're a great pair here.
Absolutely. And next week, I'm answering questions, any questions that anyone has. So remember to send me your questions. The whole show is about your questions. AskDrLove.com/questions. And if you come into the studio live, you can talk with me back and forth about my answer. And that's all we have for this week, Temple. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom, your love. It's wonderful having you.
Oh, such a joy. Thank you for having me.
See you soon.
Yes.
Take care, everyone, and live in the now with all your feelings. Next time.
You've been listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. Sign up for Dr. Jamie's newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive her meditation audio that will guide you to open your heart and chill out during these stressful times.